Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh to some of y'all and peace out to the rest of you. Hit the share button because the message is more important than the messenger. You know, this is a stressful time. Um, my plans are always better than the way things actually turn out in the end. I won't front. Um, I rarely plan things, and there was something inherently in the plan that was going to make things turn out badly. Usually, someone completely unforeseen and random has to be a problem for there to be a problem at all. But my plans are better. The only thing I cannot plan for is other people screwing things up, not in any detail. I may sound stressed in the next few uploads, but I'm still thinking about what's going to benefit you. Um, there was a male teacher, and he gave the students a project to do. And so one day, um, on a Friday after this project towards the end of the school year with 10 minutes until dismissal time, he let some of the students take his hair out of a particular style that he maintained at the school that day so as to be presentable during a photograph that he had to take. And he live streamed it and then later uploaded it, and he lost his job. This is a classic case of somebody making a plan with a good intention and the heart in the right place, but with the wrong information from the very beginning, the wrong premise. This was a perfect example of nigger planning. This is a grown black man teaching, letting several young female students put his hair out of its style so that he could make this hair appointment. And I'm telling you that as a man who used to teach, as a black male who used to teach in the United States, you don't get to do that. When I used to teach in the United States, time was um, just impossible. There was never enough time to get done all the things you needed to get done unless you made sure that you didn't have that many commitments. Teaching precludes other commitments. And so, in all honesty, I knew that as a teacher, um, I couldn't afford a hairstyle like that. Not so much just the money, but definitely the time. It wasn't there. The time was not there and was not going to be there for me to take a hairstyle like anything that we've seen him with and try to maintain it. And then you get a hair appointment right after school and you need to have your hair out when you go in for the hair appointment. You know what? Just scrap the whole hairstyle. Just go bald if it's going to be all that. You don't have time for it. You're never going to. When you are a male teacher, they scrutinize you like they do female teachers, like they do white teachers, male or female. State boards go in and check to make sure that you've got these tests in this particular jar and that drawer needs to be open, even though that means that the students could conceivably go into that drawer. But then if they go in and they just open the drawer, then they can say, well, you don't have the test secured. I mean, you can't win for losing. You just don't have leeway and you don't have time. And he threw his principal under the bus. He said that the principal walked in, walked out, didn't say anything. I've been a teacher and I know you have to have boundaries in a bubble, even when you have good students and you like them and they like you. You still have boundaries in a bubble. That is beyond the boundaries. This man live streaming may have shown that he wasn't doing anything inappropriate, or his intention was to show that he was doing nothing inappropriate. And that seems smart on the surface because, on one hand, people can say, oh, he did not essay anyone, he did not flirt with anyone, he did not say anything um, intimately inappropriate to any one of them. He didn't do any of these things, but it was inappropriate for him to allow them to go and put his hair in another style or take it out of a style. To allow them to do this, that was inappropriate in and of itself. He doesn't have to be intimately inappropriate. That already is. That's inappropriate. I don't think a white male teacher would get away with that. And a white female teacher would certainly be questioned about it. Sorry for yawning. This is how I see it with them. I look at this and I say to myself, this man really didn't know, did he? He may have been all of his life that really non threatening black man that could fly under a lot of radars and could get away with a lot of stuff. And so he thought, well, if I show what this actually is, then they'll see that it's not inappropriate. And so because of this, he was never told that that in and of itself was appropriate, inappropriate enough. Right there, that. He may have been that black man growing up in his youth that just looked so innocent and was that he was every woman's friend. And he grew into that and got used to that and got acclimated to that and thought, well, let me just go ahead and live stream this because that's the kind of guy I am. And this will just prove that this particular case is just the same thing. I'm just that innocent man. And then lo and behold, this happens. And that is because when you are a black heterosexual male, whichever one does not benefit you is going to be the one that is applied to you. So you look too innocent and too positive for women to sexually take you seriously, then they're going to say that you look too innocent and too positive, so that they can sexually not take you seriously when you're their peer, when you're the same age as them, at the same level as them, the same rank as them in any particular case. So that's why it is that the same man that can be in school as a student with all these chicks he looks too innocent. And then later he is a teacher and he no longer looks too innocent for that. Now he looks uninnocent enough to be sexually taken seriously and therefore as a threat because now the ladies in question are his students. So then the society will apply that to him. He doesn't look too innocent. He's an adult. He's a teacher. They're students and they're kids. And that's the end of that. Whichever one, gentlemen, I know because I've been there before. Whichever one does not work in your favor is what they apply to you. And I'm not talking about his lady students that are out to get him at all. I'm not saying that that's what it is. No, they're not. They're probably just like the girls when he was a student himself, they were his platonic friends. But that in and of itself is a problem because they can be good students. You can get along with them, but you can't make them your best friends and you can't be their best friends. You must be more than a friend. And I don't mean that in an intimate and inappropriate manner. What I mean is that you must you must be a guide to them that their friends can't be. Most of us black men know this so well that in the comments section, almost none of us sympathize with this man. But he said the comments when he live streamed it, the comments were lit up. This ain't weird. Y'all just making it weird. No, bro. The point is that was weird from jump. Although it wasn't weird to you, and there was a context in which these were good students and they weren't bad students, the fact is that in and of itself was inappropriate, even though there's a time crunch you're dealing with. When you are a black heterosexual male in the United States, guys, you have to understand there's not a win-win situation. It's not hardly even a win-lose situation. It is a lose-lose situation in most cases. That's how it starts off. That's what I wanted you all to be able to vocalize now. Not just know this, but to vocalize it because it's real. You're facing lose-lose situations again and again and again and again, and it doesn't effing stop. They are on your behind because they can be. They're going to blame you for things you didn't do. You never did them. It wasn't your fault. But if they can pin it on you, they will. You've dealt with that before, and that's a part of American history. Hell, as black men, you've been blamed by many sisters for what another race of men did to us, even though they did it to everybody, and a lot of times even to each other. You're still blamed as if it's your fault that this one race did it to everybody, and almost every other race agreed to do it to you, even when they didn't. Although there are races that did not agree to this, you're being blamed for that. So because of the cute girl and popularity contest that black women are not winning everywhere else, even when they do win, they're blaming you. And you did none of this. I mean, you could build the Bakongo kingdoms, but you didn't get to be appreciated once Queen Jinga was in charge. Queen Nzinga. You know, you can build Dahomey, but you don't get to be appreciated once the woman king is in charge. Hell, the Dahomey Empire was a tributary of the Oyo Empire at one point, which was Yoruba. I think it was ladies that built the Yoruba Empire. And I'm not taking away from anything that they did to contribute. But in terms of building that empire, do you think that they were even charged with it? It wasn't a job to do the conquering that it took. And even after the men of the Dahomey threw off the yoke of the Oyo and the oppression of the Oyo on them, at that point, they were so militarized and paranoid and saying never again that the women could never see the men as men again. So to make a long story short, you are always subject to being blamed for things you didn't do, even a lot of times from within. And you've got to get rid of this mindset that most of you don't have, but a few do. And I'm going to tell you how this happens and how we can get rid of it in a few sentences. Some of these young brothers raised by just mom, or primarily informed by just mom, even if dad is in the house, because we know that for dad to stay now, he's got to close his mouth, shut up, pay the bills. Are sitting up and thinking that they're viewing things through um, mom's lens. And as they view things through mama's lens, they tend to forget how they're going to be perceived because they are, in fact, black men. So what they see is how something on the surface can seem to be inappropriate, but they think that if people just see them and know them and get a feel for them, then it won't be seen as inappropriate. And yet, and still, no, it will be. It will be interpreted in the worst possible way for them, like what happened with this teacher. First time it was live streamed, but the people that saw him, I guess they knew him well enough to not report him, but then he uploaded it himself later on. And that's when this hit the fan. He got fired. And his principal was going to be in trouble because the principal was going to be let go for allowing it. That's what wound up being the case. And that's what's going to wind up being the case with some of these younger guys who don't mean harm, but they're not properly informed of how against them everything is. They're not paranoid enough. You see, in a normal world, this man would have had to be somewhat paranoid and pessimistic to think that this was going to happen to him. But you see, for us, he's naive for not thinking that way. So the level of paranoia that the man and pessimism that the man would need, he didn't have. And I'm assuming that he's in his middle and late 20s. I'm assuming that. I started to say, as soon as I heard the question of mentoring in about 2019 and 2020, I started to say that we must be ready and willing to mentor young boys, but only on terms that their single moms don't like that. Hell, even if they're married moms are of the same mindset, only on terms they don't like. We cannot mentor them on terms that their single moms would like. No, their mothers would like that, so we can't mentor them on those terms. I stated that. This is one of the reasons for which I stated that. See, that was 2019. This young man may have been about 19 during that time, just out, just getting out the house. 2018 was when I was thinking about it. I'm not sure what this man's age is now. If it turns out that he's in his 30s, the dude really he was really naive. But it also shows you that the problem goes up older than what we thought. This is why it is that we are in a sort of fight of subversion. And that's why I stated such. It is a war. It is a war to deceive these young black boys so that they are unprepared. And this is part of the result of that. You and I know what the boundaries are, those of you listening for the most part. But there's some young brothers that don't realize how paranoid and pessimistic you got to be because no one told them. When I was coming up, there were, when I was coming up, even at times our own moms and aunts would tell us about these things. Many of you young brothers are coming up at a time when your moms and aunts may not tell you about these things. And it may have been because when they came up, they just they wanted male teachers to not have these boundaries. Because male teachers are out of they were since they were out of bounds, they may have had an interest in them. And that's what happened. And so now here they are, your moms and your aunts. But if you would ask your grandmoms, they would have told you this. Yeah, being a black man, you got to be somewhat pessimistic and paranoid about these things to be prepared and to protect your jobs. Otherwise, all the qualifications you have to get to qualify for this teaching job are hard to get, and you can throw them all away by simply being naive. Let this be a lesson. If you are a black male teacher at all, really, I would say try to get into something else because, frankly, America doesn't deserve you no way. America doesn't deserve teachers at all the way they do teachers at this point. You are the one they least deserve because you're the one they least appreciate. It's just too bad nobody was there to tell that to this young teacher here. I bet he'll learn now, though. That young teacher just went to school himself. And in this lesson, he was once again the student. If you find a chance to not let another young black boy become this teacher through lack of information, be subversive and tell him if you can. Thank you for listening. As always, black heart, black mind, blackout, assalamu alaikum, and black heterosexual non-select male power because they don't like it, and black patriarchy until extinction of Judgment Day. Thank you for flying with us again here on Jet Black Airways, where the phrase jet black is also a verb. Keep jetting black with us until the wings and the wheels fall off. Gender justice forever.